finish it off with Beth Rodden. Should be a good show tonight, you guys. All right, Ditto, folks. Give a big hand. Thank you. Thanks, Ben. All right, in the deep end. I'm going to try to have as much fun with this as possible. I have had a lot of fun with a lot of you people already, so I think we can do it. I've seen some of these presentations before, and it's always been a lot of fun, and so it's a real pleasure to be up here tonight. Thank you guys for coming, and ladies. It's a big pleasure. Did anybody see the movie last night? Okay, but not everyone? Okay, well you're in luck, because we're not just going to go straight through it, but I'm going to try to get caught up a little bit. At the same time, I'm going to try to answer maybe one of the biggest questions. There's a couple of big questions that people have, but people want to know about the polar bears. And like, what do you do when you go to Baffin Island? I don't have a laser pointer, but the big white thing is Greenland. And just to the left of that is Baffin Island. There's a lot of polar bears all over the place. We went climbing up there a few different times in a sailboat. And the most recent time, we made a cool movie about it. Polar bears come up when you go to the Arctic, and it's kind of a big deal. I had anxiety about it before we went, because the big solution is to get a gun. And you don't want to like have to shoot a polar bear. It's like a crisis of conscience almost to even think about. So I'm going to get into this right now. I'll play this. This is a movie. We started out in Greenland, and we did about a month's worth of climbing while we waited for all this pack ice to free itself from the coast, so we could actually sail our boats into the east fjords of Baffin Island. Sandford Fjord is where we were heading to climb. First, we had to go check in. Our first port of call is in Clyde River, and we had a lot of questions for these guys that live there.
Welcome to the north.
Thank you.
Yeah, we live among polar bears. That's our life.
You see a lot. Oh, we'll see a lot of polar bears in Sandford Fjord. You think?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We should be careful.
Yes.
In a boat like us, you think would have any risks that a polar bear would come on board?
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Yeah, that's no problem for bear to walk.
Oh yeah?
Polar bear is on the top of the food chain. Polar bears, the polar bear is a stalker. That means they creep upon without a noise at something they're nosy about or they're going after. They will creep up.
We did some creeping too, but we were mostly looking for these big walls that we wanted to climb. And we did see 8 bears our very first day out on the pack ice. But they're generally just kind of running the other direction. So we felt pretty comfortable. We just started racking up like we were going to go climb a big wall. It was pretty sweet. Everything was a huge mess after a month of climbing elsewhere. We really wanted to get after it, but the weather was kind of bad, so we just took to entertaining ourselves as best we could. Probably like many of you do in your spare time. And these guys are Belgian, they never shot a gun before. So
nothing well. Oh yeah, it's it already was. It is now day. Bye. That's scary. Oh, much what I was looking for. Fuck! I'm scared.
Bad weather persists. We amuse ourselves in other ways.
So another day here in Baffin Island. It's cloudy, snowy, windy, cold. So just bouldering today. While one of us is bouldering, the other has to be on watch for the polar bears. So now it's Nico's turn to climb and Ben's on watch. How's the watch going so far, Ben?
Yeah, no polar bears at the moment.
But oh my god!
There's polar bear shit on the ground right here where we're bouldering today. Feeling a little nervous. Polar bear shit. So this, my friends, is polar bear shit. As you can see, Olivier stuck his fingers in there to see how old it is. How old is it, Ollie?
2 weeks, I think.
2 weeks. And Nico licked it to check
What size of bear it is?
what size bear. How big is the bear? Nico?
Very big.
There was a lot of this, and not a lot of polar bears, after we got on land. And that was in August, and we spent about a month in those parts climbing. And you'll have to catch up with the rest of that movie to see some of that good action. But time passed. We're rolling into September now. It's kind of like the latest part of summer, which there's barely any autumn up there. It goes from like late summer straight into winter. And we had the great opportunity to leave Sandport Fjord, sail a little bit north, go to another fjord called Gibbs Fjord via Scott Island and Scott Inlet, and got to sail past some outrageous walls, which this thing's been climbed before, but only in the winter when it's all frozen right up to the base. It's a pretty appealing objective, but to get the boat right up next to it with the open ocean just to the side is a little heavy for our tastes. So we went looking for some other things, and we found some good adventure even.
I didn't see many polar bears except for the polar bears that I saw were they're mostly like far off in some ice floes. So and most of the time they were like scared of the boat, so they would like run away or whatever. So yeah, I didn't get to see any polar bears, but there was always like that little tension. Like as soon as you came to land without a gun, there was always that little tension. You know, there might be a polar bear around. What am I going to do if there's like a polar bear? And I knew that at one point it was going to happen because we were getting like more and more relaxed. And like at the beginning of the season, all the polar bears are out on the ice floes, but then all the ice floes melt and the polar bears come back to land. And I knew that at one point, like we were going to be so relaxed that we'd be walking around without the gun. And at one point it was going to happen. We were going to like be face to face with a polar bear. And then it's like, okay, what's going to happen? Is the polar bear going to charge? And what are you going to do then? How are you going to fight the polar bear? You can't run. You know, what are you going to do? Or will the polar bear like be scared and run away? And that's what it was going to come down to. And I knew that was going to come. That was going to happen at some stage.
Yeah.
And then it did, but I wasn't there.
This only happened right at the end. It's awesome.
We're almost out of food on the Dodo, so I'm just trying to make my lunch right now. We have some delicious wild blueberries.
Oh yeah, wow. Yeah, so incredible. This whole area is just covered with them. Oh yeah. Imagine that the bear eats a lot of these. I'm not sure though.
And we're just out for a walk. Yeah? Anybody ever do this when they go out for a walk? Yeah, but you gotta be really careful, boys and girls. And as far as we knew, there wasn't anything around. But pretty fun to trundle some rocks.
What's going on over there, Olivier?
You're walking with the polar bear there.
Yeah, and we're just on this mountain with nothing around, and all of a sudden, there's a polar bear, like, from me to the edge of the stage. And we always had this conversation, like, if we see this bear, and we're up there, like, it's only there for one reason. Or in this case, two. It was me and Olivier. And it came down to that kind of primal discussion that Sean was having, like, is this thing here for us?
Holy shit, man.
Yeah. That's all I could come up with. It was freaking scary. Like, the adrenaline starts to pump, like, more than any of the climbing.
We go down.
Yeah, we were out of there. Anyway, that's my polar bear story. And so I think you're kind of caught up now. Expedition life has been a pretty big part of my life. Somehow I got a slow start with it. But it happened. I started, let's see, I'm going to point this over here and I'm going to press it as hard as I can. I got a show for you guys tonight called Inspirations and Close Calls. It pretty much sums up my climbing history, it seems like. A lot of people want to know, like, how did I wind up going on an expedition with a bunch of Belgian guys and an 8-year-old Scottish man? Pretty good question. I won't necessarily answer it directly, but I'll kind of go roundabout with it. And I'll just start right here. I don't know, I look pretty good in uniform. I hang out here in the park a lot, but I don't work in uniform. But I got started climbing the Boy Scouts, probably like a lot of other people. And it was a formative time. When I was a Boy Scout, I worked at a Boy Scout camp. This is the best I could do for a visual aid for this close call example. But when I worked at Boy Scout camp, I got struck by lightning one year. It was kind of heavy duty. It was my first real close call. And I was 15. And this thing says, Altamont, Tennessee, 8 Boy Scouts, ages 10 to 16 were hurt when lightning struck shelter tent at Skymont Scout Camp. 7 were treated for burns, 1 for hyperventilation. And that's about it. And I had to be carried from my tent to where the ambulance picked me up by a friend of mine. And he was like, wow, you were really close. Like, your heart, it just couldn't stop. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm 15 years old, and I just got my first little nugget of, like, perspective. Felt like to me, you know? So, this was like the next level of perspective. Like, Camp War catalog when I was a kid. You guys remember this? I mean, epic. Like, pencil drawings, like rock climbing gear. I was in heaven with this stuff. You know, it was stuff like this. This is like, William Dole made this Eton. Like, I knew there were guys like this. There was like this kind of gear being used out in California. This is like a Rossi Bedane custom locking carabiner. Pretty cool stuff. Like, I knew this was out here. This is Tom Frost's hammer. Like, God knows what he did with this thing. You know, I knew this stuff was out here. This is John Salave's rope. Now, I just want to take a second and say thanks to Ken Yeager and the Yosemite Climbing Association and everybody else involved in the facelift and everything like that, and everybody that supports the facelift. It's this kind of stuff. Like, this stuff, these are all museum pieces that Ken and these guys take care of, and this stuff should be more, like, available to the public, in my opinion. So I've been working with those guys to take a few pictures of this stuff this summer. And I think it's pretty neat, you know? Yeah. Stuff's out there. Oh, there's some Chenard pens. Yeah. Pretty cool stuff. Like, I knew all the stuff was out there. Sorry, point it over there. And I'm like 15 years old, and I grew up in Tennessee. And I know I'm wearing Lycra, but look, that's a screamer. That's a Yates screamer. And look, I think I'm placing like some micro nuts right there. Like, it's kind of messed up. Like, I was really psyched. And but it wasn't just about gear, you know. Like, it was kind of about attitude. Yeah. Like, I thought maybe I could be a part of like the coolest club that existed, you know. And so I kept doing it, giving my shot, like giving my best shot. It was fun time. But like, same time all this stuff was happening where I grew up. And like, I had to give that my best shot too, you know? It was a lot of fun. But like, as a young climber in Tennessee, I just knew that there's something different about girls in California. And so I set my expectations and I set my goals like really high, you know? And I like tried to drive out there. But like, you know, it's like the same thing happens to every 17-year-old guy when they try to drive from Tennessee to Yosemite. Oh wait. I just wound up in Red Rocks with a bunch of dudes. Like, it wasn't exactly what I was looking for, but we had a good time there, and pushing these things as hard as I can. Thanks, Ken. Oh, thanks, Ed. But I did wind up in Yosemite a year later. You know, everybody's done this. And I knew this one guy named Hans Florine. And he's like, hey, Ben, you want to do the nose? I was like, you gotta be kidding me. But it wasn't just me that he wanted to do it with. Hans wanted the speed record for a team of 4. Can we go to the next one? So sure enough, me and all those same friends of mine, we did the nose with Hans, and we got the speed record in 16 hours. And like, I don't know, is that a record? I think we have it. It's kind of funny. Eventually, I got more into this for a little while. I moved to Utah, and it was just like, I mean, I don't want to like exaggerate, like, and it's not exactly like when a caterpillar turns into a butterfly, but it was definitely like a metamorphosis of like going from like small dumpy cliffs to like trying to climb stuff like this. And at that point I also got into photography pretty hardcore, and it was kind of also about taking pictures of people that live near mountains, and I felt this like kindred, almost connection with them, because like for me when the conditions are bad, I can't hold on to the small edges, or I can't climb the ice or whatever. But like for these guys, they can't feed their animals and they can't feed their families. And that's similar, right? But so it wasn't just about climbing. I was getting into like figuring out people a little bit and like hanging out with people. It was pretty fun times. I did 5 trips down to Peru during that short period of time where I just was picking up skills, basically. Sorry, this is not working very well like I wanted to. That was me. I did that. But I lived in Utah at that time. I traveled some. Oh, next. I started spending quite a bit of time with this guy, whose name's Andrew McLean, and just as luck would have it, he's just like a master of planning expeditions, and he's a skier by trade, but he was the climb partner of Alex Lowe, Conrad Anker, and a whole bunch of other homies that just, I mean, I just feel like it all just kind of got distilled down because we spent so much time in tents together. And first big trip we did together was down in Patagonia. It was my first trip to go down there, and it was a ski trip, and I barely knew how to ski. It was outrageous. But to make it even weirder, we used kites a lot to move around out on the southern Patagonia ice cap. Now, these pictures were taken on film. Does anybody remember that stuff? So that's kind of fun to look back at this stuff. Like putting together a slideshow is a lot of fun like that. We spent a month out here on the southern Patagonia ice cap, all self-supported, no hope of rescue. Next. Just hoping for the best. Next frame, please. Skiing a bunch of cool lines. This is like right underneath territory. We skied from the Col d'Esperanza, which became significant to me later in life. But at that point I thought, you know what, I'm never coming to Patagonia to climb, because I saw all these climbers and it just seemed bleak. But here we were, dressed up like skiers. We could do whatever we wanted any day. And the climbers just seemed to suffer. Andrew and I also went to Alaska a couple times together. We tried see some big dumb mountains like this thing in the background here. How's that look to you guys? Didn't look good to me either at the time. And, you know, we tried to go for it for a little while, but next slide, please. There was a lot of weird objective hazards, and we skied a lot of cool peaks, and I learned a lot on this trip. Next, please. We did some good skiing. We never skied the big mountain. But as you can see, there's a lot of weird features everywhere that you wouldn't want to get involved with. And I'll just say next.
Ben, so what just happened here?
Well, I was taking some rad photographs of you climbers over there. And then I decided to ski over here and ski a sweet line. So I was trying to talk Andrew into skiing, and he very smartly couldn't. And I'm skiing across here. You can see where my track goes right there. And I fell in the bottom of the pit right here. And I was hanging upside down by one toe piece of one Vena pit binding above this fucking crevice for about 20 minutes while these two godlike
Really bad audience.
burst their fucking aortas running up here to dig my ass out.
So when we came up here, all we saw were these tracks leading in with two skis sticking out on a ski, and then we almost fell in the crevasse ourselves.
Yeah. I was pretty excited right then. Things went downhill after that. I mean, I was cool as a cucumber while this was happening, but I broke down so hard. I mean, that was worse than the lightning strike. That was like worse than the polar bear. That was like the end of the earth. That was a cold blue tomb for me, but I didn't go in there, so that was sweet. I was happy to be alive, and I broke my glasses. It was awkward at best. Next, please. But you know, you have these things happen, and when it happens, you think maybe I'm the only one. But then, you know, it's like a topic of conversation, and you ask people or you tell people, and you don't expect that everyone you talk to is going to have their own close call. Like, I mean, not just like that, but like everyone has these things come up. And so in a way, like I feel like I contribute to like the close call culture that's out there, in a way. And like, here's an example. I got this email from Andrew the other day, and he says, do you know Todd Offenbacher, who I sort of do? And he said, I was out skiing/guiding with him in Svalbard in Norway, and he took a solid 50-footer into a nice dark crevasse. And he says, afterwards, all he could say was, well, I knew Ben Ditto stayed nice and calm, so I didn't want to freak out and be a total beep. And then he was able to self-rescue with a rope I threw down to him, and it's amazing he wasn't hurt. So I'm glad I can be like somewhat of an influence to the rest of the close call world out there. Oops. We go back one. After that experience in Alaska, the only thing I could think about doing the next year was going back. And me and Andrew and some friends went out and skied. That's Mount St. Elias on the left there. That's Mount Huxley on the right. Pretty epic terrain. We skied around some of that stuff, and we kind of took it easy. And I have this new perspective, like, you know what? If I'm not comfortable in a situation, I can say no. It's weird that I have to like almost die to figure that stuff out. So then I met Nico. We went to Squamish. Here we go. We're going back to Dodo's Delight. And I met Nico in Squamish. He was real psyched to climb a Cobra Crack. That's like an upside down ring finger lock there. It was pretty outrageous. I was taking the photography out there with him, and we were hanging out a bunch. Just turned out that his climbing partner was Sean Villanueva. Just how it happens that we met when we were 18 at the Red River Gorge. And it was like a kind of a cool reunion. We had climbed there, but we didn't really stay in touch. So I was like, huh, these guys are funny. And I was kind of addicted to like going to these wild spots with kind of top level guys. And I wanted to do more of it. So these were some pretty good candidates. We went to the Bugaboos together that summer, did some cool climbing. We were down in Indian Creek together. These guys, they're not just like trying to do the normal stuff, you know, they're like doing the first ascent. I think they call this the incredible butt crack. It's like 20 feet of number 6s out the like horizontal thing, you know? Kind of nuts. Later that year, we hung out with Steve Schneider down in Torres del Paine when all us homies went and climbed the east face of Torre Central. We did the South African route. It was outrageous. I took some of the best pictures I ever got to take. It was a real fun time. I mean, as usual, I was a weak link, but I was super psyched to be there. I'll go to the next. A few years later, I got a phone call from Nico. He said, Ben, I really want to go climbing on this sailboat. He grew up sailing out in the Mediterranean. And he had lined up this captain named Bob. There he is. And we just met up there and we went. That was in 2010, you know, it was the first time we did this. A lot of people get confused. They're like, didn't you do the exact same trip twice? And I'm like, well, no. We did 2 different trips, same crew, different places. Pretty excited to climb off the sailboat right onto the big wall like that. Next. But at the same time, we would just walk up onto the land some days and go climbing on big peaks like this. And we knew that some of the stuff on the right had been climbed. We did research and know that certain things have been climbed. We always want to climb new things. So we went for that one kind of on the center left back there, and we named it Shepton Spire. Next. And that's how it looked from the bottom. And that was really cool. And when we get to the bottom, we do rock, paper, scissors to see like how we're going to split up the teams and who gets to climb which line. Because usually there's going to be like one line that looks amazing and one line that's like the second best. And maybe, yeah, you know, we just go from there. And it's cool to climb 2 teams of 2 like that. Different lines, I can take pictures. And here we are, just like first ascent questing out in the middle of nowhere, putting up a new route. And you know, you're going to get yourself in a terrain like this. It's like, for a guy from Tennessee, this seemed pretty impressive. And this is kind of in September in Greenland, and it's starting to get a little bit dark. And you know, we get a little tired sometimes. We would take a nap. I know, thank you. But next, please. We wake up the next morning and just piece it together. We started out on one peak next. On the left, we bivvied up there. And then the next morning we woke up, we climbed like 15 more pitches over to this right-hand summit. And we just weave our way through those towers, and when we got to that buck-tooth gap there, that thing you have to like down climb the whole thing and then up climb back. Like it's a scale that's like quite a bit larger than you recognize. But I mean, you just don't get better than that. Next. But then there's always something like this going on. We better go next pretty quick on that. It's a big picture. On one of those climbs on that first trip we did, Nico and I had a pretty good close call, and it was one of these deals where it was getting dark, and I arrived at this belay first. It was my lead. I got to the belay. I set this anchor, you know, no bolts. Believe it? Wait, not yet. Sorry. And Nico came up, and I had this urge to tell him to be careful of this one block up there that I saw before it had gotten completely dark. But for some reason I suppressed that urge. And then the next thing you know, he's climbing up there, and he pulls that thing down on us, and he factor 2s on our belay, and the whole thing just went haywire for a minute, and the rock exploded on my anchor, and me, and everything all at the same time, and I mean, I just thought Nico was dead, and I was dead, and everything was gone, and but then the next thing you know, I'm like, I think my pinky's broken, and Nico's yelling at me below that he's okay, and everything's okay. And like, he pulls himself up there, and we take this picture, and then we keep climbing, and you know, what else are you gonna do? Next, please. And later on, I realized that the knife I had in my backpack that was hanging right here off my belay loop in front of my leg had been broken with a rock fall. Like, I don't know, I just took that. That was like a little message. I was like, well, that's kind of cool. I didn't get hurt, but like this knife got broken. Next, please. Okay. So, I live in Bishop, California now. It's a pretty sweet spot. It's like an oasis in the middle of the desert. You know, growing up in Tennessee, there's so many trees. When I fly over Bishop, it's just like the Sahara, it seems like. But we live in a pretty nice part of town. I'll go next. I'm married to my beautiful wife, Katie Lambert. She's like mortified. She's in Bishop right now. She's like can feel it. She didn't want me to put this picture in there. I couldn't help it. But we have a lot of great adventures together, and we climb all the time together. Next. But she understands that sometimes I need to go out there with the boys and like get myself into some weird situations. And so I do. And she's great about that. Next, please. And since that first trip to Patagonia, I got to go back a few times, and I got to climb a few cool mountains, and I just freaking love it. I hope you can all go there at some point. And this is like just as big a part of life as the climbing in Patagonia. You know, you got to go down and down some litros and eat some pizza. You're gonna love it. You guys recognize this? It's a flight that I take sometimes. It goes from Mammoth Lakes to San Jose. I can't believe it when I'm doing that flight. And next. And I think about my friends on the search and rescue team here in Yosemite and how, like, anyway, search and rescue team here in Yosemite. Woo! Yeah, I don't know if these guys made it in here. I don't think they could get wristbands at the event. Search and rescue. Yeah, these guys come in handy. You know? And then we got this community, and people, our friends come through. And I get to climb with guys like Hayden Kennedy here. Next, please. And we decided one day to go do a nose blast. Next. And so we started up one morning, kind of early, just kind of casual. Me and Hayden, I'm on the lead. And we got some Tom Evans pictures here. I just lead my block from the bottom up to Camp 4, kind of standard spacing people do. And then Hayden's gonna take over. Next, please. You do the king swing. I hadn't done the king swing since that time with Hans, and so we had a party on the boot lake. I was begging Hayden, please can we just do it? Like we can pass him. And there's Hayden making friends. You just have to be nice, and it's cool. And then I started jugging at the Great Roof, and you can see the rope there. We passed some guys from Colorado, and they are going, like Hayden's leading up the pancake flake there. You can barely see the rope. And it's weird that there's no gear in, but that's just Hayden's style. The next thing I remember is getting to the belay at just below Camp 4, there's a 511 pitch. No, just below Camp 5, there's a 511 pitch that turns into like a slippery drainage area from Camp 5. And Hayden got there, I put him on belay when I finished jugging, standard stuff. We just chatting back and forth. I'm organizing ropes. I hear this weird noise. I look up and I see Hayden. He looks like he's jumped off the high dive like a pencil. He's heading straight at my head. And he takes the 50-footer upside down, and his number 4 Camelot smashes through my helmet, which I just got and started wearing. Like I didn't wear helmets that much. But look at that thing. That would have been my head. So gnarly. Kind of hurt my neck. Next. Hayden didn't fare that well either. He was kind of messed up. He couldn't climb for weeks. We barely made it off the mountain in less than 8 hours. So we did though, and we self-rescued, we like to say, but it wasn't the greatest experience. You know, we got hurt. Hayden likes to go climbing in the Himalayas, and he took a year off because it's kind of too intense sometimes to go climbing in the mountains, you know? But like, look, you just go for a casual lap on the nose, and this is it can happen. Next. Here we got the tunnel view, you know? And I love Yosemite. Kind of an aficionado of the wilderness. Yosemite is definitely like a special place in my heart. But like, I think we all need to get on the same program that this is not John Muir's wilderness anymore. You know what I mean? Like, next. We're kind of loving this place to death. All us climbers, all us tourists, all us nature lovers, like, it's not taking care of itself, you know? Next. Next. And I don't necessarily want to see, like, I mean, it's like one of those things where we go back in time, we try to fix something, and it's like we wind up making something worse, you know? It's just kind of an awkward time, I think, to be living here in Yosemite and like trying to figure out what we're going to do with all the people, where we're going to park all the cars, you know? There's like some pretty funny little natural intersections here in Yosemite if you go looking for them. I just kind of threw this one in there random. But let's play this video. Oh wait, stop 1 sec. One of my things I do here in Yosemite is I volunteer with the climbing rangers as a climbing steward. And I spent the last 5 summers volunteering with these guys, and what we do is we try to promote responsible behavior to the climbing community, like how to clean up your mess, how to leave no trace, how to behave out in the wilderness, you know? And how to be a part of something bigger beyond just yourself out there, and how to like share that with people. And last year, you guys heard of the nose wipe? Did you ever hear of anybody doing that? It's part of the facelift, you know? So, facelift, everybody gets together and picks up trash. Everybody been doing that today? Yesterday? Hell yeah, we all do that. We all try to give back. And in the past, some of the climbing rangers got together and they would climb up the nose, clean up garbage on the nose, which, believe it or not, there's a ton of it. Last year, they did the Salif. They went to the alcove, cleaned up a bunch of junk, and then Eric and Kate, Eric Bissell, he's a climbing ranger, and Kate Rutherford, they topped out the free rider. They had a really fun day. Some other friends of mine and I, one of the climbing rangers, we walked up the back. And here's a little video about that experience. We can roll that.
We're just coming up these ledges to go meet Eric and Kate on top, and found a nice poop up here. The stewarding begins now.
So now, this is just poop. That looks like toilet paper too.
Looks like some poop and some toilet paper. It's pretty inappropriate.
When you're outdoors, do you ever have to take a dump?
I do, and hopefully I have a wag bag with me, and if I don't, I try to go off trail and dig a cap hole. Don't leave toilet paper. It's kind of a faux pas these days. Don't need it. Rocks and sticks work super well.
What about burning it?
Burning it is not ideal. It's really dry climate. It's really prone to light a fire. We don't need it.
Right.
That's my side. They're fresh. Are they? Yeah. They got a nice tail. They're going to be resold.
Just one though?
Just
one. Oh, fuck. Is this a cache, you think?
It might be some trash.
Okay. You walk up El Cap, it's pretty awesome. One of the things you get to see up there are these peregrine falcons. They fly around up there, they live up there, they hunt up there, they spend their whole lives up there on El Cap. It's pretty outrageous. This is a pair, and you'll see the other one come in. Boom. Yeah, it's sweet. And you know what? They closed down sections of El Cap to try to, you know, let these things nest. These things were almost extinct in the 50s because of DDT, but not anymore. It's like actually kind of a killer success story.
We're up on the top of Zodiac.
And how's it looking, generally speaking?
There's some micro trash, but all in all, it's pretty good.
Cool.
Yeah, it's kind of impressed how clean it is right now. Not a lot of stash bottles, and it's looking good.
Sweet. Yay, climbers.
This is my close to my trash pocket. It's a very small sock. Small child, I believe.
What was that?
Small child sock, I think.
Wow.
Based on the size, yeah.
Up here on El Cap.
Yeah, just going for a walk, you know.
Pretty enjoying.
Pretty chilling on top of El Cap. Playground for everyone.
So now for you, you're not really like a germaphobe? Picking up the old sock doesn't bother you?
It's been bleached by the sun.
Nice. Picking up trash.
All this is trash. Yeah. People think they're doing a good thing sometimes, doing a sip or two, but people are just going to walk on by and leave it. So yeah, it's really just trash.
What happened? It
was like an old can that was unopened, but like was rusted a little bit. And so when I picked it up, I spilled it on my hand. And it's like some canned soup from God knows when.
Yes. It's not what we wanted here.
Sick. You guys going up to camp?
Yeah, we're actually just up here kind of doing a cleanup, and we're meeting
Part of the basement?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're up on the wall cleaning up the South Bay wall.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm through right here, so yeah, we're just up here cleaning.
The nose is pretty good. It wasn't bad. Camp 6 is, you know, what Camp 6 is, but everything else wasn't too bad.
Sweet. That's good to hear.
On
Triple direct.
Sweet.
El Cap route number 54 for me. 54 different routes, and I'm not entirely sure of this number, but I think 637 nights on the side of El Cap, not counting
How many beers on El Cap?
12 packs? I think we bought about 5 to 12 packs.
5 to 12 packs.
We brought a very nice Chardonnay, a lovely cab, a very good Petite Syrah from Lodi, and a Amador County Barbera was last night. We had numerous Gatoritas, courtesy of Trader Joe.
So the water was more of a mixer then, or that was for actually...
Pretty much, you know, we try to avoid... we like to start the day with several presses of coffee until changeover time.
Okay.
Changeover time is, right?
I think, when I think of it, I think of the time between leads.
No, it's coffee to beer.
Okay.
Yeah. No, we try to keep the changeover time between leads down to an hour or two.
Okay. And that's like a speed strategy?
Well, this is totally a speed ascent for me. We did this in only 8 days. So normally, I can do a lot better.
That's just the El Cap swing?
This could be the new El Cap swing.
Sweet.
A little safer than the old one. Lower impact. But I think we might take it down with this.
JL. Let's see. Who could that be? JL, who spent more time on this section of rock over the last 2 years rappelling in than anybody else? JL, we are going to mail you your ticket for littering. Can we do that?
All right. You know, a few inside jokes. We are all okay with that. It takes all types, you know, but you gotta clean that stuff up. You can't just leave it around. It's not good style. So, I know, I've been laughing a lot at my own misfortune. These close calls, they're pretty heavy duty. They give you a certain perspective, you know, and it makes me wonder sometimes after all of that, what the hell am I thinking? Why am I going to keep doing this stuff? What is it that keeps me going? So I look around at my inspirational friends. This is my good buddy, Sterling Johnson. He's total inspiration to me. This guy, he's in his 80s. He is a cinematographer here, around here. You guys have all seen his videos next door. He's got 2 that plays in the theater next door. One's about rock climbing. One's about African American soldiers in the, when, Sterling? 1890s or something? I don't know. It's outrageous, the scope of this guy's imagination and his work ethic and everything. I just had the good fortune to work with him for a while. This guy, he's unbelievable. Here he is. Does he look scared? I don't think so. I don't know how big that waterfall is, but he wants to get closer every time. You know what I mean? This guy will never stop. He's had cancer. He's had everything you could think of before this picture was taken, but he still didn't stop. You know? And so I look at this guy like a huge inspiration. I'm like, why would I stop, you know? Look at that, he's telling those guys what to do right there. You know, next time we go on a photo shoot, you're damn right, I'm gonna tell you what to do like that. Just like Sterling did to these guys, you know? Classic. You guys gotta see this movie next door, come see it. It's really cool. Through the Eyes of a Buffalo Soldier, featuring Sheldon Johnson, really cool. We're out at Thousand Island Lake right now. Really cool trip. Next. Yeah, a couple years ago, Sterling was driving that car in the middle, came head on with a Scottish man driving in the wrong lane. Yeah, total bummer. Not good for a 20-year-old, not good for an 80-year-old. You should see this guy today though. He had a stroke, he broke his femur. He was all kinds of messed up in the hospital for over a year. Guess what? He came back from all odds, next please. And he's walking again. Like, all the doctors were pretty much like, you should just give up, dude. They didn't even tell him that he could start doing rehab, because they just assumed that it was over for this guy, but it wasn't. And he's here tonight. So say hey to him on your way out. And that's all I got. Yeah. Good meeting